We are now live. There we go, ladies. All right, everybody. So, welcome to week 31. I looked it up this time of our Crazy Writer Chicks live events. My name is Nikki Rome. I've got with me Rebecca White and Winter Navi, just like normal, but we also have a very special guest with us, Shelly Warling, who is here from the Dirt Pops to talk to us a little bit about kind of her venture, her adventure, really, it has been, and journey through finding her own creativity and what she's doing to kind of keep it all sparked and going at this point in her life. We've had the pleasure of chatting with her a little bit before we got started tonight, so we should have a really fun event. So, Shelly, I want to start, just like I mentioned, we'll kick it over to you. If you don't mind introducing yourself a little bit, tell us a little bit about kind of that journey that we were discussing, how you got to where you are today, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, hello, my name is Shelly, and I'm with the Dirt Pops. And my pseudonym for the Dirt Pops, or my character, is Betty Rocker. So,
I like it.
but I'm Shelly Warling. And my writing journey, it's been with me my whole life. I feel like I've been a writer. I've always kind of looking back, I could tell the fond memories are of writing, of English, of poetry, Shel Silverstein. Um, I loved doing book, uh, talking about books in English, like the To Kill a Mockingbird, um, and Holden Caulfield, Catcher in the Rye, just like all. And then I went through high school. I went into college. I took a poetry class that I absolutely loved. Philosophy, I loved those. But, in the back of my mind, it's like you can't make money with those. So, and actually, I kind of let that slide through because I have 1 degree in cultural anthropology. And I did that so I could get out of college quicker, so I could go be a rock star. And that is where I met my husband. I was doing open mics, and he was in a rock band, and it was in Missoula, Montana. And that's where we met. And I'm still with my husband. We had our 24th anniversary, but we had a lull we did our rock star thing. Then we took a break from it, and we had a daughter, and we're parents, and kind of grew up and went and got real jobs, and um, bought into the story that you can't make money writing or creating. And now we've found a new way, like now I started doing some work with Dr. Trivedi, or Dr. Rewire. And through that, I met Isabel, who I know that has been on here before. And she sparked, with Dr. Trivedi and Isabel, with that combination, it sparked the authenticity in me of being a writer and being a poet. And now I realize that that's what I'm here to do. And so my husband and I are now using that creativity, and we've been through a lot. And used we've learned to use the writing as healing. And that's, I mean, what is the most amazing thing. I think we're writing some of the most I'm writing some of the best songs I've ever written in my life. And I feel like it's because I'm using writing as a mechanism for healing from grief. So, we've lost, being in bands, we did lose a lot of friends to, um, just ODs and just suicides and such. And then we lost our first child. He was 2 days old. And then that helped. I mean, it was devastating, but it also has, through that loss, the creation of these beautiful songs, and a book that I'm reconstructing, but that's another story. Um, Through words and through creating words and stories, I'm learning. I'm learning to get through the grief and learning to live with the grief, because I've personally found that grief never leaves. It never gets better. It just gets different, and you learn to live with it in different ways. And writing is a really good way to tap into that and help you get through the rough spots. So,
Can I ask a question? I don't know if
Of
it's too early
course.
to start
Yeah.
asking questions, but when you say that you write, this was a question I already had anyway. Um, are the songs you're writing like specifically about situations, or is it more of a like a general like
You know,
symbolic kind of thing?
they're they're kind of more symbolic. A lot of them, like last year, a friend of my daughter's, her brother committed suicide, and I was doing this work with uh, Dr. Trivedi and with Isabel with Lerma Words of Healing or Drunk Writers.
That's the
And
same. Y'all probably remember her as Drunk
I'll
Writers, but
always
she's
remember it as
rebranded.
Drunk
I know.
Riders.
me.
I love that.
So, but
But yeah.
so the song that came to me, it came like I would just write. I've always written poetry when things troubled me, or like, and I've always been a very vivid dreamer, and so a lot of the words come to me through poems that and um, here it's called Worst Day, and and like instead of Lou Reed's perfect day, this is the worst day. And so would you like me to read the lyrics?
I would love that.
So you could kind of see where it's like not really a story, but it's just kind of about um, death. And then I've also struggled with suicide myself. I've attempted a few times, and depression. And so this song kind of targets that. And it came to me when I was working with Dr. Trivedi, Isabel, and then starting to write songs. Um, so it's death is the worst day. Death is the best way. Death is the worst way to say I told you so. And then we repeat that. And then it's lost in the shadows, loneliness wraps tight. Lost in the shadows, not knowing what's right. Death is the worst day. Death is the best way. Death is the worst way to say I told you so. And so that's just a little excerpt of Worst Day. So it's kind of like, and a lot of the songs, a lot of the poetry that comes to me has a lot to do with death. And actually, I think this song, I was embarrassed to share it, and it was in my little book. My daughter gave me this cute little book. I wonder if I have it. It's, oh, here it is right here. Remember, ideas become things. And so it's in this book. And I was reading it to my husband, and he was like, well, that's actually pretty cool. And so then and he's very musically gifted, very, um, you know, he just knows his way around guitars and keyboards and music and harmonizing. He knows his way around very well. And so he was like, wow, those are cool. Those, we could use those as lyrics. And so that's how that song kind of came to be. And with the whole creating and then healing. And then it's also been amazing for our marriage. It's really helped us connect on a whole new level, especially we're facing being empty nesters. Our daughter is graduating this year and going off to college. So it's kind of funny though because she'll complain because oh yeah, my mom's playing the drums down in the basement, or dad's playing drums again, or and at least we're
That is
not scolding.
awesome. That is awesome. Like total
Reverse than what you
reversal of
typically get.
roles.
Right, exactly.
Mom and
I
dad are
love
being too
it.
loud.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
I don't know. I think that's one of the things that have really interested me about the conversation tonight was because so many people use writing or creativity as a form of healing, right? So many people write
Yes.
through past traumas and so forth. And it's a very common topic in the writing community, I know, because that's the one that I'm most closely tied to. But and it comes up often, so very often, right? That they write out their old trauma or something that they've been dealing with, but with the ending they would have liked to see, right?
Yes.
And so I think that
Yes.
sometimes where some of that processing comes into play, and sometimes it's just as good as therapy, if you ask me. It's
Right?
because you're
Yeah.
self-discovering on your own how to get through some of those things. But it's really interesting
Although
how
we
it's
are
kind of
not
sparked your
saying that you shouldn't get
creativity.
therapy. We are
Correct.
not
Exactly.
Full
saying.
disclosure.
Yes, for everybody
we all have
listening.
our
Yes. Yeah.
we all have our own therapists too, but still.
Exactly. But
But
it
no,
is
I
a
mean,
good complement. It's a complementary like
Mm.
practice or
right.
technique that helps.
Well,
So
it's funny. So I have kids that are in therapy too. And, my therapy versus their therapy are so very different, right? Mine's always like, well, let's talk about this and let's talk about that. But then when you're doing therapy with a child, I mean, many times their therapists are asking them to draw a picture or let's write a story about what happened. And it's so funny because you want them go through it that way. And then as an adult, we're forced to sit there and like say the words out loud. And sometimes it is just nicer to write it down or draw a picture about it in the beginning, right? So I've always found it interesting how different those two versions are. But then again, some of us as adults are really doing that creative part to kind of work through some of that stuff anyway. So it's very cool how you've been able to channel some of that into your own creativity.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel I'm very grateful. And and just, finding what you love and then creating things with that is just, I mean, you can't really ask for anything more. And it's really helped me to come to terms with being a nurse. I was trying everything desperately to get out of being a nurse. And I was, there's limits on it. Even surgeons have limits. I was like, I need to get out of the medical. Now I see it as my job is it's a supporting role. And so I can do this stuff. And I'm happy, like, and then there's that whole balancing act of pulling in, like, um, you know, wanting to be super successful or equating money with success really is what it is. And now my husband and I have talked, and I've struggled with this a lot too, with the whole money success issue. And if we could just keep this life just the way it is and be happy and healthy and just be able to write our music, we're good. We're, it's good. And it's a really cool place to be, to finally have found that. It did take me 51 years, and I'm getting closer to this, like, awareness and gratefulness for everything, and how everything leading up in your life happened for you to this perfect moment, and how all of our moments that we live are perfect, are perfection. So it's pretty cool to be, getting there, getting little glimpses of that awareness, and
I'll
learning
be up in a
even
minute.
at an older
I
age.
wish you had done that earlier, though.
So
Oh, Becca.
Sorry.
You
The child
disappeared and
came.
I cheered you back on.
No,
She's
I
like,
didn't
the
turn
child's
myself
back.
off. It just
Oh, it cut
well, you
you
might as
out.
well say
Hi.
hi now. Yeah, it just disappeared.
Hi,
It
Hello.
Trooper.
came down when he wasn't supposed to, and now I'm going to have to leave to go put him back to bed.
That's all right. We'll see you back in a minute.
Excellent.
Real life around here, guys. A lot of real
Really?
life around here.
Shelly, I'm actually curious because I know that when you write from a deep place about deep things. Do you ever struggle with the vulnerability involved in that and maybe holding back in what you write or not wanting to share it in song for other people to hear?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think that the worst day, that was like a good example of that, because I wasn't gonna. I read when I was reading those lyrics in my book here, I was just like, I was kind of embarrassed that I even wrote it. I was kind of making fun of it, and then Troy was like, "No, those are kind of cool. I think we could use those. Those are cool sayings." And the first song that came to me, yeah, it's interesting, just being afraid. I mean, because I have notebooks upon notebooks of lyrics, but I've been too judgmental and not wanting to be vulnerable to share them. And we still haven't played out. So, but I did. I used to play out with my rock, rock and roll. But you have the drums and the bass and the amps to kind of like drown everything out. And now it's just, I don't know, we're thinking about getting a band, but we would probably also do acoustic shows, and the vulnerability of that, and then the the like people just not listening, and but another, like, I mean, a good thing with that, I've watched Bob Dylan's Rolling Thunder, and he kind of talks about how they would be in rooms together and they would just play through their songs out of respect for the song. And so that whole concept helped me to realize that these songs have been given to me from the ether, or whatever you want to call it. And it's my duty, it's my purpose to nurture the songs and carry the song out all the way through without any interruption, just in respect of the song that came to me. So that, I think, is some guidance to help with that vulnerability piece. So, when you see it as more of your purpose rather than hiding behind that vulnerability, like now it's like, oh, you can't hide behind the vulnerability, because now this song has been given to you, and now it is your purpose to nurture the song and give it to other people, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I missed the first part of it, but yes, it does.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
At least that part, from what I understand. Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, I've kind of fallen in. Is it okay if I talk about like my homework, like what I've assigned myself for the album? Kind of like with recording it and really honing in on it. So I went to Barnes and Noble, and I was drawn to books in particular, and we went there in search of just one book. Hey, do you have the Jeff Tweedy book? How to Write One Song. We were there, and that book wasn't there. It wasn't at Barnes and Noble, but this book drew my attention. This is Bob Dylan's Chronicles.
Wow.
And from this, Bob Dylan's homework to me was a ton of music to listen to, from like old blues to just, I mean, so I've like, as I was reading, I would put music in that he recommended, and then also the Iliad and the Odyssey, Homer's. I have to read. I'm gonna read those, but with pleasure, not having to study it like when we are in school. Just to be able to read the words from the like first known poets of our time. So I'm going to attempt that. And then my second book was this. It's You Are Beautiful and You Are Alone. Yeah. And this is Nico. And I don't know if are any of you familiar with Nico?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to Andy Warhol and the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
So she was really a big part of Andy Warhol. She grew up in Nazi Germany, and she's kind of like I've kind of like, I feel like I feel like I'm part of her. We're all connected, but she really, I mean, she had a pretty amazing life, and she was kind of forced to be the front singer of the Velvet Underground, and so there was already tension there. But she did it because Andy Warhol had his vision, and he was like, they need a woman, they need this. She was a model at the time in the 60s, and she did a lot of film, like alternative or independent films and such. And from her, I read this whole book, and this isn't an autobiography. I don't think she ever did an autobiography. There's just quotes, but this woman, Jennifer Otter Bickerdike, she did all of the research, and has like very good quotes and stuff. There's a quote on the back by Iggy Pop, and that's when I knew. And Iggy Pop and Nico went out. Okay, so Nico dated Jim Morrison. She dated John Cale, who was in the Velvet Underground, John Cale went on to help her with her poetry. Jim Morrison is the one who inspired Nico to write her own songs. And so she went out and got a harmonium and she wrote all these crazy songs, and they're amazing. I mean, you could find them on, I have Apple Music, but I've been listening to a lot of Nico lately. So, and very inspirational, very dark too, though, because her life, I mean, she was, born in Nazi Germany. Her dad was a soldier who got killed for, standing up, not wanting. The story's kind of unclear, but then her mom had to go work at a factory, so she was put in this orphanage, and it had like the Reich flags and stuff, and it was just, I mean, it was very violent. There's stories of it being very violent toward the kids and such. And then she went on to be a model, and she just had a really crazy life, but she's amazing.
How do you spell Nico? I'm sitting here trying to
N-I-
look it up on my Apple Music.
Nico.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking K.
Yeah.
I was too, and I couldn't find it, so I had to interrupt.
So
there she is. Very cool.
So
now
she, and so that's, and then with her homework, I mean, I watched a lot of the black and white films that she did. There's some of them are 15 minutes long. There's one, it was done with a handheld video, 8 millimeter. And it's an hour long of just black and white, no sound. And it's these 3 women, and Nico is one of them, just doing things. So, and her homework for me is to read Nietzsche. I've never read Nietzsche. So I'm going to get a book on Nietzsche and read Nietzsche with her. And then, of course, continue writing music as well. And then, and then my third book I've just started. This one is just more like it's David Bowie, and it's by this guy Tom Hagler, and Tony Visconti was David Bowie's producer, and so this book it's just got a lot of little excerpts about David Bowie and his meeting with other famous people. And it's interesting, too, because Bob Dylan wrote a song for Nico. And then Nico covers a David Bowie song. So Bob Dylan wrote, I'm going to try to cover it. He wrote, I'll Keep It With Mine for Nico when they met. And then Nico covered Heroes by David Bowie.
So neat.
So I thought that was kind of a cool weaving. Yeah. So, and then this is the book that we were trying to get that day. And it's Jeff Tweedy. He's one of our favorite artists. He's with Wilco, the band Wilco. And this this is a great book to write. He's got a lot of different techniques in there on how to write songs. And we've written a few. The latest one that we wrote is called The Land of Make Believe. So, and that kind of
sounds like my kind of song.
Mr. Rogers, do you remember, do you guys, The Land of Make Believe, in a little trolley?
Sure.
Yeah. So, and then we have Sleepwalking, and Sleepwalking kind of came in with, so this is, Troy mainly wrote this song, but I wrote, the part that I wrote and brought in was from a dream, asleep within a sleep to sound awake from. Those are my lyrics. And then some of it, another songwriting technique is to bring in other lyrics. And I just totally brought in Allen Ginsberg because he traveled with Bob Dylan. He was part of the Rolling Thunder group or whatever. They were on a bus and toured, and Allen Ginsberg was he just hung. They were family. I don't know, kind of. So and Allen Ginsberg I brought in. So I wrote asleep within a sleep to sound awake from, and nothing to weep for. This part is Allen Ginsberg. and nothing to weep for but the beings in the dream trapped in its disappearance. So it's kind of cool how they kind of folded in together. And that song is called Sleepwalking. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
It's like one thing constantly evolving from another, really, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. From like the old poets, and then and I want to start reading more, get more female poets in there. And you know, there's Emily Dickinson, but I haven't read much of her. But so yeah, there's, I mean, it's just words and creativity and healing.
Mhm. To say, when I heard that you and your husband were writing an album or like about to put out one, it's gonna sound funny, but like my immediate picture in my mind was of like if me and my husband were to decide to write music, which would be an utter catastrophe, right? Because my husband's completely not musically inclined at all. And I could like I have absolutely no like I like to sing along with his songs, but like I have no melody creation. Like I've never had a tune come to me. You know what I mean? Like and and I was thinking, how would a couple do that? And then I thought, well, maybe something else that we could just randomly decide. Because I was thinking about how bonding that would have to be, assuming that it doesn't destroy your marriage.
Right,
You know,
exactly. Because I was, I
like
mean, there,
that it would go one way or the other for
right.
sure to do something creative like that together. But at the time, I didn't realize that that was your background and how you knew each other, and that
Mhm.
so.
It is still scary though to think of, because like if he decides one day I don't want to play with her, or if and heal
Yeah.
with me, or if like, so it is kind of scary, and I think that might be one reason we put off playing together for so long. But now we're older and more aware and more present,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Yeah, with things like
Like we
So
that, it's a
hope.
high stress situation to create together,
yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is, to work together
Oh,
like that.
definitely. Yeah,
Even
it's like
writer couples,
people,
you'll hear them, and I'm like, wow, I don't think that my husband and I could do that. Like, he doesn't read any of my
No,
stuff, or,
oh wow, yeah,
me neither.
yeah.
doesn't even read it, let alone give me feedback.
Please.
Well, it's
Me and
like
my
when a
husband couldn't
couple
cut a tree up together this week.
see,
Like,
yeah, or like
no, we can't do
doing
nothing.
a home
We
remodel.
built a barricade around
Home
it because he's
remodel,
gonna
yeah,
just
there you go.
live in the pasture. Yeah. No, we don't do things well together at all. Which
Except
ironically enough, we're like the biggest DIYers ever. Like we demoed our own kitchen, put it up, everything else, but like he demoed it, and then I put the cabinets up with my niece. Like we know where our boundaries lie. We would
Yeah, take
never
turns.
write a song together. Yeah. So,
oh,
not if we want to stay married.
It's a
But
form
yeah,
of harmony,
it
each
definitely
person doing their
truly
own part,
that is true.
right?
We have our own parts. We have our
Even
own
some music
parts.
is like that, where there's a part and another part.
see,
I'm sure.
exactly,
But
yeah.
what you
And
two are
Troy,
doing is like you're really truly creating together. Like I think a lot of husband wife combos I see in writing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Becca. Like I'll see maybe one does the business side, and like maybe he does the writing, or
Often, I
like
believe that's how it works,
yeah,
yes.
like they're never both writing together. Like you all are
Occasionally, one
literally
does the edits or
creating music.
something, but
Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah.
actually, Chloe, her husband does her proofreading and editing, but like still, it's her art. You are all
Mhm.
creating art
to
together. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy to me.
It's it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it definitely is, kind of scary sometimes, because it's just
Yeah.
like, whoa. Hey, could you turn that
And I
down?
think there is a writing couple who actually does do that. The Ilona Andrews is a pen name for a husband wife team who actually writes together, and they write urban fantasy.
Oh, I
Oh
did not know
wow,
that.
No idea. Very cool.
wow.
Yeah, and they've written mini series together, and whenever you see the name, you see the both of them together. So
Yeah.
it's kind of, I would be really interested in figuring out how they make that work, or if they have any interviews about that, because it's
Mhm.
exactly what the two of you are doing, putting your
Yeah,
juices together, finding out what both of your talents are, and mixing them together.
yeah, yeah. It's
It's a
interesting.
blend.
And
Yeah.
it hasn't all been, there's definitely been ups and downs.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I would imagine.
Oh. But
Even in movies.
we're evolving. As we're evolving, and as we're getting our routine down, it's getting better or different.
Yeah.
It's just evolving. It's different, and it's not like I think initially. I mean, I think before. I mean, I'm pretty sensitive, and so I think that was a obstacle to us playing before. And for some reason, I don't. I feel maybe concentrating on with the writing and just really you know living in my higher values has helped me to not be so sensitive when it comes to that and see those as more challenges instead of um, put downs and like reasons to quit. So
And I was just thinking how like grief in and of itself, and I know this isn't all about grief, there's a lot involved, but grief tends to be pretty isolating. I mean, when someone's going through that, they tend to isolate even from the other people with them who are going through the same. A couple loses a child or a
yeah,
family member or whatever, often they tend to isolate from each other even. Um, and working together, I can just see how that could bring could multiply healing, and how that
oh
could be for
yeah,
an example for everyone, like to make that when you're going through a really hard time, make that effort to connect and do something with someone, even though it seems like the wrong thing to
it's
do because it doesn't
yeah,
feel natural, but
yeah,
it's healthy.
yeah. I would say so. Um, because I'm thinking about when our son died because that was like 20 years ago, and back then that's when I wrote the book, and we kind of did do our separate things at that point. So with that grief, because he had a band that he was in, and I was no longer doing bands at that time. I kind of like um, was focusing on. I was actually in graphic design, and and then we got
She has done
pregnant, and then
everything.
just
She
a little.
really
I need to
has.
focus on one thing though, see what happens.
Creative, that one there.
But making like so I made the book, and then he created music. He just continued creating music with him, and I still don't think I had the um, confidence in that. But then you know looking back now 20 years, and then learning how to learning some of this. So Dr. Trivedi works like by rewiring the brain, and I think some of that did help me to look back and see things from a different perspective, which and then if you add Isabel's drunk writers or Lerma
Words of
words of
healing.
healing, drunk writers just rolls off the tongue better.
It does, doesn't it?
But anyway,
We
the
should all
words of
petition she
healing,
changes it back.
right? With that
It's a duel.
combination, I think it helped me to have a new lens and see new perspectives, and then try to see more than one side of all of these things and see how things happened. Even the loss of a child, you can see how that happened for you and for your life, and then adding in, figuring out your best way to deal with that new perspective. And with me, it was writing. It's with the poetry in particular is just I love it. Edgar Allan Poe, he's one of my favorites. So,
Don't tell 'em hard.
oh,
Very
but
cool.
yeah,
So you guys are in the process right now of recording your first album together, right?
yes, yes.
And so how is that process? Like, what does that look like for you guys? I mean, I don't know pretty much nothing about the music industry as a
Well,
whole. So to do
well,
something like that, I mean, is it something that you can do from home remotely now, or you
yes.
go into a studio? Okay.
We're doing it all from home right now, and
That's awesome.
it's garage band, and then we have this microphone,
Oh, the
and
fancy
then
one.
we have a keyboard like over here, and Troy basically just does everything. There's the keyboard,
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, with GarageBand, it's really kind of nice because you can record at home, and then you have the drums. They have drum tracks, and so it's we'll sit here, and it's really kind of cool because what we're realizing our process is we put down a ghost track, and so that'll be the first track in GarageBand, and we just hook this microphone up to our computer, and then we play the song with our acoustics, and then it's our ghost track, and then from there we lay down just a guitar track, and then Troy will do the bass track. He was a bass player in the band when I first met him, and he's a really good bass player. So, but he'll put the bass line down, and then he'll do like a guitar. I mean, he's been playing since he was 5, and it's amazing what he does with the harmonies and everything. And
You should make him come over and play for us.
right, yeah. Would you? Yeah, I mean,
Shelly, you're gonna have to put him on the spot. Becca, you're awful. He's trying to relax on his couch, and she's like, "Live performance, please."
I don't think he would mind. Do you guys? Would you like for us to? I don't know how it would sound though with the restream.
Oh,
There's only one way to find out.
We can try it.
It's up to you.
Do you want me to ask him?
Sure.
He's allowed to say no. Let him know.
You're allowed to say no. Okay, I'll let him. We'll play a song.
Oh,
So
he got
I'm
up.
so excited. This is the first time this has happened on our show.
So I'm going to
This is a
take my
first.
headphones off.
We can't hear you.
You probably have to change your. Oh, now I got.
Oh, now I got a big echo.
Here, I'm gonna talk quick and then mute myself.
Yeah.
Try going to your settings and restream, and you might need to select a different mic.
Because we're hearing ourselves through her computer.
Man, we're so close to a live performance too. Oh, now I can't hear anybody. Did you guys mute yourselves? Is that why?
I did. Now there's no echo, so that there's an improvement there.
Oh, probably because she put her headset back on. Can you hear us, Shelly? I don't think she can hear us.
She probably turned it off at some point while she was.
Now we're
Trying
gonna
to
lose
figure it out.
Everything.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
If it works, though.
It was worth trying to see if we can get it to work.
Wait, did we just hear her?
Mm-mm.
Hang on, I'm gonna call her.
For those of you who are just listening, really, you should turn the video on because this is quite a sight. Her poor husband, all he was trying to do was watch a show on the television, and sure enough, we got him up and sitting there with his guitar.
Now?
Yes.
There you are.
You can hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I can hear the
awesome.
guitar too. If she just
And
stays
then,
close
wait,
to it
what?
with her
All right.
microphone.
I just
Can
hung
you
up
still
on you.
hear?
Just take your microphone,
Yep,
your
we're good.
headset
We can hear you.
close to it.
Oh, we can hear him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I can't hear them. Are you going to get my guitar? All right.
Oh, this is exciting.
Cool.
This is
All right.
cool. We might have to do a live concert
I
event.
can't hear you guys. Can you can hear us okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you bring me my pick?
She's like, I can't hear you,
Losing
but
your guitar.
we can hear her. That's all that
Oh,
matters
thank
right
you.
now,
It's
right?
in my guitar.
Yes.
I told her how to hear us, but I didn't
All
tell her
right.
how to make her hear us.
You could stand back a little. So
Oh, sure. Ready?
I think it's
Yay.
Deadman's voice. What? Thank you.
Thank you
How
so
awesome.
much.
All right.
I know. Now we've got to figure out how she can hear us again. Can you hear us, Shelly?
Oh, but we can't hear you anymore.
Oh. Yeah, change mics again.
All right. Can I can
Yes.
hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And you can hear us?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Thank
That was
you.
awesome.
And
I
tell
hope
him
that
thank
sounded
you.
okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So that's what
Very,
we're
very
doing.
cool.
So I want to hear like the full real song now.
Like all the things.
Yeah, well, because I mean,
It
it
was
wasn't
breaking up a
the
little
great
bit, so we
quality, you know,
continued
as
with
far
some
as the microphone,
pieces.
but I could hear enough of it to know that it was a really pretty song.
Oh,
was.
thank you. Yeah, well,
Especially that
it'll be
chorus.
on Indistinct Radio Chatter. That's our album. That's the name of the album.
And what was the name of that
Indistinct
song?
radio chat.
That song was
That was
Sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome. No, it was beautiful. And it was like the mic was trying to fight whether to listen to you or the music. So it was choosing which thing to listen to
Oh,
at the
okay.
time. So it was going back and forth, but there was definitely some points where it just came right through.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
could,
Yeah.
Earlier, I had your Facebook page up there. I'll go ahead and pop that up again. So, because I imagine people can kind of follow along on Facebook or
Yes.
YouTube
Yeah.
as you're starting to put more samples
And
out and getting everything going.
exactly. Yeah. So, and I
Awesome.
think what we're going to do, Troy told me this just today, but after we finish getting the album recorded, we're going to record it acoustically. So just with our acoustic guitars
Right.
and singing. So apparently that's like a trend right now.
mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but it's a fun
Say that.
process. It's awesome. It's being able to record and then do the music and then do the harmony, and it's cool to be part of. So,
Very cool.
and then
I
Yeah,
could
using
definitely,
that all.
I could definitely hear the harmonies come through. That was when
Mhm.
it like picked up everything, is when you guys were singing together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think on the microphone too, we had it on it. There's like different little things you could put back here, and
Mhm.
I don't think we had it on the correct option.
Can always try it again later and just do, a live from the living room concert. I mean, I think
I'm
people would
down.
enjoy
We could practice.
Well, why not?
Yes, we'll get it right.
Yeah.
What's funny is
Yes,
so
exactly.
my
So now
husband
we
has been
know.
a fan of this band called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. And Jimmy Haha is like the lead singer of it. They're from Pennsylvania or Maryland or something like that, but they used to come to Florida all the time. My husband became a fan of them. We went to all their shows every time they came in town. So it's funny. During the pandemic, he did couch concerts, he would call them, where he would
Oh,
just get on his
awesome.
guitar and he would sit and sing from his backlist, like all of his old songs and everything. He'd throw his Venmo up. Like it was the way that he figured out how to make money. And then eventually he figured out, through streaming, he was able to connect with different members of his band and everything. And it was just such a cool,
Oh,
different
wow.
way to do things. And I was like, we could do a living room concert too. I mean, if Jimmy Haha can do it, why can't we do it for Crazy Writer Chicks?
Exactly.
But no, I mean, that was so nice. Very special. Thank you for sharing that with us. So this is her Facebook
Yeah.
page for those of you who are watching. I'm going to go ahead and pop her YouTube channel up as well. Although she did fully disclose that we are building out social media. So now's the time to start following, right? Because that way, once you
Yes,
make all your
exactly.
updates and get everything there, people are already following your journey with everything. So, and I'll link to all this in our finalized video too. But so, yeah,
So I
I
have
mean, it
another
seems like it's
question.
something that's never finish, right? I mean, first the full album, then acoustic, then.
And yeah,
Sorry,
and then
Becca, go
we
ahead.
plan to just watch the evolution and like evolve as musicians and see what the universe has in store for us.
So cool.
I'm just wondering, what is dirt pops? Like, is it
Oh,
something?
the Dirt Pops, it came from, it was going to be our business. And then we both like music. We like produced music, but I kind of like more dirtier or grittier kind of music. Because I was in some bands, they were kind of punk bands or punk rock. I don't know what you would call it, but I always would joke that I was in a punk band because my singing is pitchy. so uh, and I forgot what the question was.
The
What
name.
is dirt pop? Like what?
Oh, dirt pops, that's right. So I kind of like dirtier music, like music that's kind of more like the Ramones, or not super produced. It kind of has that grit underneath it. So we kind of like dirty pop music. And we also, well, for me, the name symbolizes like the lotus flower. That is, lotus flowers, they blossom in the murkiest and darkest, muddiest of waters. And so dirt pop is kind of like us popping out of the dirt and the mud of our life with our
Okay,
music.
thank you.
So,
Wow.
I thought there must be like it had to mean something. Then
and
again,
you,
maybe not. I mean, I guess
yeah,
sometimes people just come up with random
with
stuff.
names,
But I was
Like
yeah.
curious.
Naked Ladies.
Well, thanks for asking though, because I'll start explaining that, and Troy's like, "No, Shelly, they don't need to know it."
Well, maybe in general they don't, but
But I like explanations. So,
yeah.
and there is a story, and I kind of like it. I like the dirt pops, and I did make cake pops one time, and I made really awesome ones, and so that kind of inspired that as well. So the cake pops,
Very
the dirt
cool.
pops.
Mhm.
I have well, here, let me. So this is one of the old. This is the dirt pops. This is my logo for it, and so it's kind
Ah.
of like,
It almost looks like a
so
cake pop.
yes,
Mhm.
on the little pile of dirt.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And somebody took a bite.
How many bites
So
does it take to get to the center?
True story.
who?
Many licks? Was it how many licks? Yeah. But I don't
I
know if
think it was
you
like,
know, but NSYNC has a song called Dirty Pop.
oh really? I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Hmm.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did know that.
I
I'm
did.
gonna have to listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're like almost out of time, but I have one more serious question.
Okay.
Yes.
About has there been any through all of this, exploration and art and everything, are there any like key moments where you've had like revelations or leaps that you would like to share? Like, or has it just been more of like a steady, slow process? Does that make sense?
That's funny. Yeah, completely. Because we were just talking about this earlier with actually guitar playing. How you get on a plateau, and then you play and you get on a plateau. But on each of those plateaus, there's layers, and you start getting through each of those different layers, and that I think that's part of the evolution. And one of my aha moments. I mean, uh, dealing with depression, um, I'm starting to realize that that's a gift. It can be very hard to deal with. Like, I get, kind of suicidal ideations. I don't act on it anymore, but it makes it hard to live with for my family. And now I'm realizing that the depression is a gift, and it's a kind of the universe telling me, "Hey, write. You're getting too in your head, or you need to write about this because you need to confront a demon in you." And
Mm,
um, that's been a huge aha moment. Instead of freaking out and just crying and thinking that there's no way out except for death, there's writing. There's
so it's actually
that.
helping you
I mean,
become a better person because you're confronting whatever that is.
yes, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's cool
So
and hard.
yeah,
But it's about
what
awareness, right? It's all about
yeah.
awareness.
Awareness and being, I feel like being present, being more in the present moment. I've lived so much of my life like in the future or in the past, and I'm starting to hone in on this presence is just amazing. It's awesome.
And all those feelings, like embracing that and engaging with that. I know that's something that is always a struggle for me, is not avoiding all those feelings and emotions, because it feels so overwhelming. It is overwhelming. But to, like you said, live in the moment, say, okay, no, but this is where I am and this is how I feel. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with that, whether it's good or
Yeah.
bad or just too much or disappointment or, just so many things that we deal with every day. And it's
Well, we
easy
have
to avoid that.
shiny object syndrome. We have so much stimulation, I feel, in this day and age, and to have something that helps to bring you to the present moment, like writing.
Bring you back to ground.
Yeah, grounding. Yeah.
Some of us disappear into our creativity. Like to be fair, if I'm having a bad day, my favorite thing to do is sit down in front of my laptop and just disappear into my story and my characters' heads versus my own too. But I think at the end of the day, though, I am writing out whatever is bothering me. In fact, in my last book, there was one scene. In fact, Winter, you probably remember it because I was like, it just did not fit my character. I don't know what my thoughts were that day, but clearly something was bothering me. And she picked it out immediately. She's like, yeah, this is not her. So something must have been going on in me that day that ended up coming out in this book that just did not align at all with my character. And I think that can probably apply to most creativity, right? I recently read a book about an artist who it was all bright colors, like everything about her, the way she dressed, the way she decorated her apartment, all the things. And then she went through this trauma and went through and painted her walls white and started wearing more muted colors and all these things where she's disappearing into this other version of herself until she had kind of opened her eyes again, realizing that I'm changing everything about me due to one thing that had happened to me. And so it's interesting the way people process different things. But I think for a lot of people, there is a risk that their creativity is dampened, shut down, right? Versus what you guys are doing, you're really digging into it and working through it every day in order to keep moving forward. And I just think that's awesome. So,
Agreed.
Well, thank you.
All right, girls, we've got 8:59. Do we have any other questions for Shelly? Shelly, we've already kept you for an hour. I can't believe it's gone by so fast.
I'm really interested in the living room concert that we can someday do once the album. I think that would be
when you're ready, you let us know. We'll figure out how to stream it for you.
Awesome. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
You
and thanks, Shelly, for spending some of your time with us.
I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was great. All right, you guys, we'll see you back in a couple weeks. I actually have a guest that I haven't even told Becca about that agreed to be on. So we will get that scheduled.
Awesome.
I realized tonight when we signed in, I was like, oh, I never told her Ashley agreed. So we'll be back once we can get her scheduled and get a few other events on the board. Because we've got our retreat coming up. We will be all together in person the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So those of you who are listening who have not yet RSVP'd, come down and meet us in St. Augustine. We will be there for our first Crazy Writer Chicks retreat. So we may squeeze one more live event in before that. And then who knows, maybe we'll go live while we're there. Why not? We'll be together. I think we should.
I think you should.
I'll be in the ocean.
Yeah, why not, right? I mean, there'll be no background noise there at all. No. Perfect. We'll have great internet.
Different microphones.
It reminds me of Mark Dawson and James Pledge when they did theirs in Vegas. Did anybody watch the SPF show? There was so much background noise. They were on the strip recording at the 20 Books conference. And I'm like, what are they even saying? We'll do it too. Why not? They could do it. We could do it.
Yeah.
Right?
I could hear what they were saying.
Right.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you again, Shelly. It has been
Yes,
great. I
thank you.
really appreciate it.
Yes.
We will get this edited down. I'll get a final video to you and we'll get it up on YouTube for everyone to re-listen to. But I appreciate all your sharing.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Good
See
night,
you guys
ladies.
in the
so
next
much.
one.
Bye.
Take care.